Hello, what's up guys? I'm Kyle from KGR, and this is the Nendoroid Bulborb from Pikmin. Now, I love Pikmin since I was a kid, so when Nendoroid announced that they were making a Bulborb Nendoroid, I was sold. I was so in. I'm ready. A part of me is disappointed because there is no Captain Olimar instead to go with our Smash Brothers display. However, with a Bulborb as well as having multiple different Pikmin in here, it gives me more opportunities when it comes to toy photography so I can do stuff in my garden, but the garden isn't blossomed yet, so I can't do that photo shoot just yet. So if you want to see that, make sure you follow my Instagram, link down below to my link tree. But this is something I've been eagerly waiting for to come out. So before we unbox it, let's take a closer look at the box and see what's all in store. So of course we have the window display showing off the Bulborb himself as well as the 6 different Pikmin. Now I can't really read Japanese, so I want to assume this says something about like 15 optional parts to play with. Pikmin logo, product number 2520 in the Nendoroid line, which is insane because Figma never even got up to 1,000 and yet we have over 2,000 Nendoroid. That's insane. And of course we see a few Pikmin, and then we see the Bulborb attack into Pikmin, and of course the blue one is always being eaten, the one that has the screaming of fear. Then on the side we get to see all the Pikmin around the Bulborb as well as the back side of the Bulborb. Then the back we see him sleeping as well as a couple other different poses. Then on the side we see another angle of him sleeping, and then we get a closer look at the Pikmin just running so you can see their faces. And then the top, you see him chasing some Pikmin. The bottom, you see him sleeping again. From what it looks like, there's not really a whole lot of posing opportunities that you can do with the Bulborb. However, he looks so stinking cute, I had to buy it. I got mine personally from Nin Game, but if you want to grab one yourself, there will be links down below on where you can pick them up. But without further ado, let's open them up. Now, I loved Pikmin since I was a kid, like I was saying. However, I didn't beat a Pikmin game until when Pikmin 4 came out, because I didn't play much of Pikmin 3 because I got that game very late and I didn't fall in love with it immediately. And then the first 2 games were just way too hard for me as a child. But after I beat Pikmin 4, I went back and completed all the other ones. Not finished, completed. So let's open this boy up real quick and let's slide this out. And can I just say how much I love the backdrop, how it just has a bunch of different Pikmin designs. Can we get wrapping paper for Pikmin in this design? I'd buy like 3 tubes at least. There are some instructions in here. I'm pretty confident we're not going to need them, but let's pull them out just to play them safe. Let's fold this back up and put this to the side for now. But here it is. Let's open it up. There we go. And of course you have a bunch of things wrapping around all the accessories just to keep everything in good shape on the way to your house. I love how companies like Tamashii Nations, Good Small Company, and sometimes Reveltech give the amount of care saying like, hey, we don't want paint transfer to happen on the way to you, so good on them for doing that. Now here's a closer look at the Bulborb itself. Now this feels very hollow, so I don't want to say that it feels cheap, but I definitely expected him to be a little bit heavier and have like more solid build quality. But I want to assume they kept it light so you could balance him by himself without having a stand being completely necessary. But regardless of how he feels, he does look incredible. I love the glossy look to the eyes. However, I wish the irises were also painted with that gloss as well. But honestly, that's just me being picky. I think this looks completely fine. And then the mouth is also on a little hinge, so you can open that up and down. And then when it comes to the legs, those are going to be on a ball hinge. If you pop that out, you can see that closer there. And this is a unique peg. I've never seen this on a Nendoroid before. But it does come with a few extra options. You can rotate the eyes if you really want to, but that just looks horrifying. We don't want that. Or you can make them look goofy, look all cross-eyed. That's an option too. I don't plan on doing that, but I think that looks silly. However, so we do have some eyes where it looks like he's sleeping, which is crazy how his irises just close and not his lids. He doesn't have any eyelids, I guess. However, it looks like this one is painted a little bit crooked. I want to assume it's painted like that on purpose. but these are marked to see like what side they're supposed to go on. So if you get confused, there you go. And then we also have his optional legs. Now these ones are going to be flattened, so you can make it look like he's actually laying down and sleeping. We're going to move those to the side for now because we do want to pick those up eventually. However, we do have a couple sets of different Pikmin. Now, these ones in particular, these ones are going to be magnetic. These ones are going to be hopping on Bulborb, like on his back to attack him. And if you're not careful enough, they will magnetize to each other. So I guess if you don't want to keep the box or anything, you want to keep this elsewhere, you can make sure you don't lose them by connecting them together like that. So that's pretty neat. Now I like how each one not only has its distinct look of how it makes it its own unique Pikmin, like the red having the nose, the yellow having the ears, and the blue one having the mouth, but they each also show how much they blossom. So when you start off with a Pikmin, you get it as a leaf when it's fresh, and then it gets ready to blossom. It turns into whatever this is, and then it turns to a full-on flower, showing its max health and max speed. And when they change it to the ones that are running, it's not the same orientation, so they do swap it around, so you can make it so they're different types, I guess. I don't know how to really describe that. Point is, it's not just copy and paste. Like, instead of having the blue one blossomed, we got the yellow one blossomed. Here's a closer look at that if you want to take a look. Then instead of yellow being ready to blossom, we got the red one. Then when it comes to the leaf, instead of the red, we have the blue. Now, the ones that are meant to attach to the Bulborb's back, you'll see a little magnet on him. And then the ones that are meant to run, you're going to see a peg hole between the legs. And those pegs, as well as a Nendoroid stand for the Bulborb, are going to be on the second layer of the packaging. As well as a little tiny Nendoroid arm to make sure it tucks under the Nendoroid well enough so it's well balanced. Now, when I display this like in my personal collection, which honestly, I don't have room on the shelf to display this guy, to be completely honest. So I'm probably gonna put this guy somewhere else around the house, but I will display it with the Nendoroid stand. However, when it comes to my photo shoots, I'll be doing that completely no stand. The Pikmin, on the other hand, I'll try my best not to use the stands, but it's gonna be tough to use without them. Or at least I'll like bury them in dirt or something. I'll figure it out. So let's try having the Pikmin on the back. There we go. So they are magnetic. However, it's crazy how even though it has a magnet on it, it doesn't make it very heavy. Because with the Kirby Nendoroid, that was all magnetic throughout like all of his body for the most part, at least his back half or something like that. Oh wait, no, it's his face plates too. Yeah, like everything's magnetic on the Kirby Nendoroid, and that thing felt heavy. This one, you don't really feel that heftiness. So for some people, it might be hard to justify what that $50 to $60 price tag for this guy. Which, speaking of, how much does this guy go for? Let's take a look. Normally, I'd be prepared for these videos, but I never am, so I apologize. I like going to Big Bad Toy Store as my reference, personally. Alright, so pre-orders are sold out on Big Bad Toy Store. However, they do have it marked at $60, which is an average price that you would pay for a Nendoroid, to be completely honest. Let's put a few more Pikmin on him, because it looked like for a bit the yellow one was like trying to spin itself. My cat is being so bad. She is like scratching at the box. Yes, Chloe, can I help you? Let's put one more right on his butt. Yeah. And he's like, hey, someone's on my butt. And then turns his eyes around and looks at him. Which I feel like in one of the animated shorts, I feel like he does that. I can't remember though. My friends over at Pikmininformer, link down below, they might know. But I don't remember offhand. So yes, this looks really cute. I'm probably gonna like keep it on it like this whenever I display this on my shelf. Now let's take this off and set up the stands for the running Pikmin. These stands remind me very much of the ones that would come with the Jakks specific figures, but these ones are definitely like higher quality. They feel different. So let's put that in there. There we go. They're very nice. Then put that in there. Very nice. And then the yellow Pikmin, which I guess I somehow lost. Oh, there we go. I was hiding over here. Whoops. There we go. Okay, let's plug you in. There we go. Very nice. So I guess we'll get the stand out because we're gonna need this later. So let's actually get all of this out of the way, just so we can have more room to play with it. Now, if you move this too harshly, the Pikmin will spin around. So I'd say put the Pikmin on his back after you set him up for posing. Is his tongue magnetic too, or no? It doesn't look like it. But you can put him in there. I'm trying to see how exactly they posed it like that. Okay, let's see. They have a lot of room in the top of his mouth. So there you go. Now you can see him beating Eaton. Oh no! But doing poses like that has me scared of doing paint transfer, like getting it in and out. So I'm a little nervous for that. But can he stand up by himself? I mean, since his legs are articulated, even if you have an uneven surface, there is a way to pose him up so he can balance by himself. So I like the look on how he stands up without a stand. I think that looks great. I want to compare him to some other figures that I have. However, I don't really have too much when it comes to Pikmin merchandise because they didn't really make too much. Like, I have the terrariums, but I don't feel that's a good scale. I do have the Amiibo, which I feel like that is absolutely big in comparison. Hold on, let's compare the size of the Pikmin. Honestly, that's not bad. I think that's actually relatively close. Of course, the Nendoroids are going to look better because this is a, what, $50 to $60 figure, and this is, what, a $12 figure or $13 figure at the time. We do have the dedicated Pikmin Nendoroid, which I do love this, and it would have been nice to see other Pikmin involved like the Rock, the Flying, or any other ones that were introduced in Pikmin 4. However, I feel just this as like a starter pack for the original Pikmin, that makes me happy personally, so I think this is okay. But I just realized I didn't mess with other things, so let's pull this eye out. Ah, come on, get out! So it's got quite the grip on it. Okay, so this is R1, so let's put R2 on here. Okay, there we go. Then let's get that off. It is quite a tight grip, so you don't have to worry about them coming off, so at least that's good. But my worry about them being crooked, I'm no longer concerned. This actually looks really good. They were crooked on purpose. I didn't think about that. But then when it comes to the legs, they just pop right out. Let's take the Pikmin off for now. And then these just slide right in. Oh yeah, that fits like a glove. Yeah, this is great. Look at that. That is stinking cute. However, I can't get him to like fully stand up. He's definitely leaning forward a lot. I guess it's supposed to look like that because he's really trying to sleep. So, I mean, that works. I didn't expect him to lean that much forward, but this looks good. And then, of course, you gotta have Pikmin on top of him to be attacking him while he's sleeping, because that is when you attack. Get them while they're vulnerable. But I do want to compare this to one other thing. But before I do that, I want to put this back. How easy are, there we go. I was about to say, how easy are you to get the legs out without feeling like I'm ripping it out? I thought this would be on a ball hinge, but from what it feels like, this is a ball peg. So that's actually a lot better, because I don't have to worry about accidentally snapping the thing. So go Good Smile for making a good choice on that, because they made a lot of bad choices on their Tails Nendoroid. I wasn't a fan of that. But this, despite it feeling hollow, pretty good. But again, I feel making it hollow was a good call just so he doesn't become top heavy and he doesn't have to rely too much on the base. But if there is one more thing I do want to compare this guy to, it is, oh, he fell over. It is the Jakks Pacific Pikmin 3 Deluxe Captain Olimar and Pikmin set. Now, this set was made by Jakks Pacific, but I got this set specifically from my friend Jimmy Mullen for Christmas. So shout out to my friend Jimmy, link to his YouTube below. Although we didn't get a Captain Olimar Nendoroid, I feel like having a Captain Olimar to pair with this would be stinking cute. Plus, I want to put these little Pikmin just everywhere throughout the house, because I had my memory card adapter that I normally use for my videos to upload to YouTube or to my drive whenever I'm not editing. That went missing. And I was like, you know what? I blame the Pikmin. The Pikmin stole it. So at least that can be played well with these all over the house. So let's do that. I've been wanting to open this for months, because again, he got me this back in December. And I felt bad that I haven't opened it. But now is the perfect opportunity to open it. Yeah, I've been wanting these things for years, and now I finally have them. And look at the back of that box. That is cute. I am a sucker for Pikmin. Any Pikmin merchandise, count me in. I'll buy whatever they throw at me. In fact, I went to the Nintendo New York store a couple of years ago, and when I saw Pikmin plush, because I'd never seen them in person, I nearly cried. I bought, I think, everything they had there. Anyway, let's rip out Olimar. There he is. Look at that. Oh, he's so stinking cute. And I love how these Pikmin are the exact same molds to each other. So, like, all the reds are going to be leaflings. Like, there is no other ones. There are none of them that are, like, half blossomed. It is either flower or nothing. And they each come with their own little peg stand, so at least there's that. But they're all just standing there, like, they're not, like, running or anything. So at least when it comes to him having an army behind him, at least that'll look nice. However, when it comes to doing poses for like photo shoots and stuff like that, I'm going to use the ones that are like running with the Nendoroid set just so it looks a lot more dynamic for the photo shoots. And they each have their own little articulation on their necks. I never really thought that was necessary. Never really thought about that, but I mean, I guess it's there, so cool. Man, these are really in there, aren't they? But hey, look, a purple Pikmin. He's probably my favorite out of the bunch. He's so chunky. And when he gets thrown, he slams. I love when it comes to getting these figures out of their boxes. It's always a very noisy process. Before we compare Olimar to the Bulborb itself and the Pikmin, I want to compare the Pikmin to each other just so I can see what scaling is going to look like when it comes to my photo shoots. It's going to be a little bit tough because these Pikmin are like standing by themselves and then these ones are running. So the scaling definitely does look quite off. Like, these ones are definitely much taller compared to these guys. I feel like as long as you have the ones that are standing, not close to the ones that are running, it should look fine in perspective. But then we have Captain Olimar himself. If we compare him to these Pikmin, I think it looks fine to me. I'm not too, like, strict about it. I guess we can compare it to the Amiibo, and that looks close enough to me, so it works for me. So here are the Bulborb as well as Captain Olimar next to each other. Yeah, I think that looks fine. I think that looks good. How well can one of the Jakks specific Pikmin fit in his mouth? I wouldn't say as well as the one that's magnetic, because if I like put that in his mouth, it feels like it kind of like tucks itself in for the most part. Oh, thank God that's a peg. I swear if I was so scared I would have broke my Pikmin. Oh my goodness, I was so scared. That said, it looks like all of them are on pegs now that I'm getting a closer look at it. So I guess you don't have to worry about these breaking. So, thanks. But yeah, like I was saying, like I feel like these kind of like tuck in a little bit better. So it looks more natural for the most part. Yeah, you could like just tuck his arms in under like the roof of his mouth. And then it just like stays in place for the most part. So that looks really good. While with these, like these ones are like good for looking stationary, like as an army, but not for like being dynamic. So there's probably a decent way to make them look good with a photo shoot. I wish I could do the photo now, but again, I gotta wait until it gets closer to springtime when our garden blossoms so we can actually make a natural looking diorama when it comes to this. But that is something I'm very much looking forward to. So, is he worth that $60 price tag, anywhere from 50 to 60 bucks? It's tough. If you're a huge Pikmin fan, the level of detail on him does look really good. The quality is definitely there. I wish he was a bit heavier just so it felt like a more premium product. But I'm happy that they didn't do it just so he is a lot easier to stand up by himself without his stand. Or even then, just make his backside heavy and then the front hollow. That would have been mostly fine as well. But again, I'm not a toy manufacturer, so I have no idea what the process was like to make this guy. But a year ago, we didn't have this in existence, and now we do, and my life is better because of it. So I'm happy that this thing exists. I'm happy that I bought him. I don't see this being one of those items that you want to sit around for to see if it goes on sale later, because it is a very niche product. So they probably didn't make a whole lot of them. So once he sells out, it's probably going to be gone unless they make a new Pikmin game and then they'll re-release it then. But I do hope they make more stuff. Whether it be other baddies or even people like Captain Olimar. But the likeliness in that is pretty slim. So I think if anything, if this is the only Nendoroid they make out of Pikmin, I think I'd be okay with it. I think this is completely fine. But now that I'm looking at my plush collection when it comes to Pikmin, having Nendoroids of like Ochi and Moss, that would be pretty cute. I would buy those. However, whenever you do think of Pikmin, you think of the things themselves, as well as Bulborb and maybe Captain Olimar. So unless somebody like Moss or Ochi come with Olimar, then it's gonna be tough for them to continue the line. But if you want to see that, let me know down below, and hopefully Good Smile Company actually watches my videos so we can get feedback. And Good Smile, if you're watching my videos, can you please send me stuff? Because these figures are expensive and I can't afford all of them, and I want to review even more if I can. But that concludes it for this video. So if you're new and you like what you saw, you know what to do. In the description, there's going to be places to buy this figure, as well as my link tree, as well as some other people that I mentioned, like Jimmy, who bought me the Olimar and the other Pikmin figures, as well as PikMinInformer, one of my close personal friends. PikMinInformer shows some nice legacy content of like Pikmin ads from back in the day, as well as some new information when that drops. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. So peace.